Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here, and I love talking about this. I also love learning about this because every panic attack is different for everyone. For somebody who's having a panic attack, it can be completely debilitating. It can feel like a heart attack or a stroke or just like you're going to die. That's sort of the worst case scenario, and folks can get really stuck in that, and especially if it's the first time they've had one, you don't know what to do. You might just shut down, and hopefully you're with someone, but if you're not, that's even worse. Depending on if it's daytime or night, sometimes it also impacts how you feel. I think that the ones in the nighttime can sometimes be the most frightening because you wake up in the middle and you don't know how to get out, and it's just there's so many moving parts. And I think that for folks that if you're lucky enough or fortunate enough to have in the daytime, you can have a little more control, but the feeling of not having control at all is where a lot of folks just really those 3 to 5 minutes can feel like hours or days. For most people, one of two things works if you are having a panic attack. If you feel yourself maybe your heart getting tight or your chest getting tight or sweating, sometimes you may feel just like hot flashes or even cold and clammy. Again, these are just some of the things that can occur. You might be able to engage in mindfulness activities and tell yourself, I've been through this before. I know it ebbs and flows. There's usually waves, like there's a crest and a peak. But sometimes it's just so scary you don't know if you can even hear yourself, because the oldest part of your brain, which is responsible for the fight and the flight and the freeze response, kicks in, and the cognitive part of your brain and the emotional part of your brain just kind of take a snooze, right? And so what happens is it's a little bit like a car alarm, where if you have your car alarm set and a leaf falls on your car alarm doesn't know that it's a leaf, but it goes off anyway. And that's kind of what's happening to your body when that happens, is the alarm's going off, and even though maybe it shouldn't go off and maybe you know it shouldn't go off, it's still going off. That is one strategy that I can say lean into. If that's something that feels good to you, yes, do more of it. And if not, there's a whole other theory that's come out in the last 10 years that's called DARE, and that theory is really encouraging folks to go towards their panic attack instead of trying to repress it, but going towards it. So you might, encourage, like, yes, I know my heart's going to beat so hard that I feel like it's coming out of my ears. And you're like, bring it on, give me more. And even that shift, that change can actually break. It can kind of penetrate through the loop, the feedback loop that people get stuck in panic attacks. Find what works for you. Hopefully you don't have them recurring, but if you do, then you might play around with both theories and see how it works. And I also encourage people, if you have any type of healthcare provider, that maybe you just ask them and check in, because of course there could be some repercussions that it's not a panic attack or it's something worse, and it's always a good idea to get checked if you have those resources, or talk to someone in the alternative medicine community. Just get other information if you can, just to make sure, and talk to people about it. If you see someone and you think maybe they're having a panic attack, it's okay to ask questions. They may not be able to answer you, and they may not want you to be touched, but other times, sometimes having a hug can be really comforting. So just check in with them and see what they need.